the architecture department of Brac University came in contact with the people of Ardashagram. They got first-hand experience of the situation and exchanged ideas with the community about how to rebuild the village.
তখনও খুব মজা ছিল এই আইলার পর থেকে আর এই জোয়ার ভাটায় পানি সরে না ভরে না এর মধ্যে যদি কোনো অসুবিধা হয় রাতে কিংবা ডায়রিয়া হয় কোনো মানে মানুষ একদম মরে যাবে তখন জায়গায় নিয়ে যাওয়া যাবে না বৃষ্টি থেমে স্রোতে নদী থেকে
Later on, the architecture department of Brac University arranged a workshop named Dream House. Every family, with complete creative freedom, built a model of their disaster-resilient dream house. After a few months, a second workshop was arranged at Brac University in Dhaka. Community people and masons of Ardashagram took part in the workshop. Among others, there were civil engineers, a disaster management expert, architects, a poet, singers and students. 2 models of realistic disaster-resilient houses were developed within a budget of 120,000 taka, equivalent to $1,500. Based on one of the models, the first house, also called the demonstration house, would be built at Ardashagram. Two experts, an architect and a social communicator or animator, started living in that village. A disaster-resilient house cum office was made for them using locally available materials. Before starting the construction, a study was undertaken to see the condition of the houses in nearby villages. An interesting finding was that even some concrete-made houses with brick, cement and iron rods didn't hold up due to local saline conditions. A total of 43 houses and a school would be built at Ardashagram. The structure would be a mixture of modified concrete, locally available wood and clay tiles. All the materials were purchased from the nearby market. The work had started on the first house.
সবাই সিদ্ধান্ত নিলাম যে হাসান স্যার বাড়িটা উনি খুব অসহায় উনি খুব মানে অভাবী ওনার ঘর নাই ওনার ঘরটাই আগে করলে আমরা সবাই খুশি হব
Construction of the first house was very critical and important. Based on the experience of building this house, the rest of the houses in the village would be built. The house, well above the flood level, had 4 concrete columns joined by 4 beams. Salinity is the main enemy of concrete structures in this area. So stone instead of brick and a special chemical called foam lub were used in the mixture. Foam lub turns salinity into polymer and makes a strong bond in the concrete. Metal clamps were placed inside the concrete beam upon which a stable wooden structure was built. In the same way, another kind of special metal strap, popularly called cyclone strap, was used to connect wooden beams with roof frames. The stability was further reinforced by diagonal cross-bracing in the wall and horizontal cross-bracing at the ceiling. Sweet water is very scarce in this area, so local builders kept the structure under the wrap of plastic and wood for a few weeks to cure the concrete. For additional protection from salinity, the bottom part of the house was waterproofed with bitumen. Nobody in the village had the experience of building concrete houses. Those who knew woodwork got involved as carpenters.
ফর্মুলাগুলো আমার জানতে বাকি ছিল এই ঘর আমার অভিজ্ঞতা শিখবে এই ঘর করতে আমার কোনো সমস্যা নেই আইলার পরে পরে যদি আরো 5 ফুট পানি বৃদ্ধি হয় তবু এখানে মানুষ থাকতে পারবে
Work was carried out with joy as well as disagreement. A committee was formed to buy construction materials and for overall management of the work. The construction of the first house, or the demonstration house, was completed. The size is 13 feet by 13 feet, including the veranda, and it can hold up to 10 people as well as livestock during a disaster. Some villagers picked up the skill of the masons, and they could work with the professionals in building the rest of the houses. It was decided to attach a few twisted rods with the beam so that the family can expand the house in future. The construction of the rest of the houses was in full swing. At first 2 houses, then the next 2, and so on. The budget for each house was fixed, 120,000 Bangladesh taka. Members of each family got involved with the work. They carried construction materials and provided other logistical support. While the project, based on trust and honesty, was progressing, an incident dealt a major blow. During the monitoring process, the representative found a theft in purchasing construction materials. The work stopped. The masons returned to their own villages. After a few weeks, the work, however, had started again, following the resolution of the issue by the villagers themselves. With the money saved from the project, a picnic was even arranged. However, a major piece of work was yet to be done at Adashagram. The only school in the village was completely destroyed by Cyclone Isla. 3 teachers from outside the village used to teach in the school. It had been almost 2 years since Cyclone Isla, and the children of Ardashagram were out of school. The resident architect completed the design of the 2-storied concrete school building following discussion and participation of the village leaders and the teachers. During natural disasters, the school building would also be used as the main cyclone shelter. It can hold up to 500 people with livestock. The main road is connected with the school for convenient access to the shelter. The school has natural light systems, rainwater harvesting, separate toilets for both boys and girls, and open playing space. Finally, all the construction work at Adashagram was over. The total cost of the project was around 1 crore taka, or $125,000. In the future, if cyclones like Isla hit hard, people at Adashagram should survive. When the people overcome the fear of losing their houses and belongings, they build their lives around it. From a distance, the village appears to be a tourist resort with identical houses. But a closer look, however, portrays a different impression. Many villagers have already extended or modified their home around their 4-column house, inside as well as outside, at their own pace. They meet their daily needs from the vegetable garden and fish cultivation in their ponds. As days go by, qualitative changes are beginning to show at Adashagram, and the habitat may appear more like a typical village in years to come. With funding from UNDP, local NGOs have already built an embankment come main road in the village, planted trees and installed hygienic toilets in every home. The government has completed restoring the embankment on both the rivers. Adashagram now does not get inundated with saline water at high tide. Salinity in the soil is gradually decreasing. Grazing lands have appeared, various plants are growing, even the harvesting of paddy has become a reality. All these changes were beyond imagination before. The Disaster Resilient Habitat project of UNDP stands as an example of how communities and development partners have paired up to create a disaster-resistant village. And the cost was half that of building a conventional and inefficient big cyclone shelter. The concept is inspiring, and the success of its implementation can be scaled up and applied in other vulnerable places, both within Bangladesh and beyond. The two-storied village, as it is now known in the area, provides a safe abode for the community, their relatives and neighbours in the event of a natural disaster. Adarshagram may now justify its name as a model village. However, the men still have to go outside the village to earn a living, as they used to do before. But with a permanent home, women and children no longer feel vulnerable. Adarshagram is gradually returning to normal. The habitat now beams with new life and optimism all around.